Yeah. Hello everyone. Good morning. Thanks for joining this event and also attending my session. This is quite morning, and I'm glad that everyone can attend this meeting offline and also online. So in this session, I'm going to share a little bit about what we have done in Nala, especially running bioinformatics pipeline in the production environment for business. So in this talk, the title of the talk is Advancing Predictive Analysis with AWS. Introduction to myself. So yeah, from the organizer already introduced me. So I have a bachelor degree from computer science from Institut Teknologi Bandung. So my background here is in the computer science. Maybe most of you have coming from different backgrounds. Yeah. So I want to give some disclaimer for this talk. So this presentation will more focus on the engineering aspects of running bioinformatics pipeline on AWS. So rather than deep dive into the bioinformatics methodologies. So little introduction to Nala. So Nala was founded in 2016. So we provide affordable and accurate genetic testing. To generally we have we provide two services. The first one is data generation, and the second one is data interpretation. So we collaborate also with GSI for data sequencing and genetic testing service, and we also provide tools or platform such as Nala Clinical Decision Support and PHM or Patient Healthcare Manager. So PHM is an app for patient to access, for example, their report and other services. We also collaborate with other institutions, both public and private, such as Raffles Medical Group in Singapore, and Indonesia with GSI or BGSI of Kemenkes or DTO Kemenkes. Nala has several products. For example, MemoReady is for breast cancer detection, or X-Ready is for pharmacogenomics, NutriReady for nutrigenetics, LifeReady, and also NalaCare. NalaCare is a service where the patient can have consultation service with our physicians. So yeah, we support several genotyping instruments or machine from PCR, microarrays, DNA chips, and also DNA sequencer with short read and also long reads. From that machines, we built bioinformatics pipeline, and we know that bioinformatics pipeline can be very complex. We need to configure which process that can go next after this process. So this kind of end-to-end workflow is very complex, so that we need to handle this properly, and that's why we need a tool to manage and to help us to manage this complex bioinformatics pipeline, so that we can focus more on building the pipeline rather than, for example, setting up the infra or handling when there's one process fail and how to do that with it. Yeah, it will be handled by the we call it workflow orchestrator or workflow management system. So there are several options of workflow orchestrator out there. The first one is from AWS, AWS Step Functions. This is a general service from AWS. We can also use this service to orchestrate our bioinformatics pipeline. And the most popular one is Nextflow. Another one, SnakeMake, and Cromwell. So I want to explain a little bit about Nextflow because this is one of the most popular tools. So Nextflow use a DSL or domain-specific language where we can use to build our bioinformatics pipeline. So the syntax of Nextflow is similar to Java or Groovy. So from Java, it's developed further to Groovy, and Nextflow takes it one step further to make it as its own DSL. So because this is only workflow orchestrator, we need something to execute our workflow. And Nextflow has some integration with this executor. We can run our bioinformatics pipeline in local or also in AWS HBase or in other cloud platforms. This is an example of Nextflow program. So there are two processes here, blast search and exact top hits. This is only an example of programming. So, and there is one workflow. The workflow here is the main entry point for our program. So we set up and organize our particular pipeline here in the workflow. The steps or processes that previously I showed to you, this one can be managed inside the workflow and can be divided into smaller parts of process. This one, so it's more manageable for us to handle all the processes. And Nextflow use the main script for Nextflow is using shell script. So we can do whatever we want with the shell. Something similar to when we run some programs in our laptop. We need to install something. For example, we need to install JTK Dragon. We need to install other tools that we use to run the process. Yeah, because Nextflow is only workflow orchestrator, we need something to the infra to run our bioinformatics pipeline. So AWS offers a lot of ways to run this. For example, Amazon Genomics CLI, AWS Healthomics, and AWS Bench. With AGC or AWS Genomics CLI, this is a CLI that we can use to run our pipeline. We can use Nextflow or other DSL such as CWL or SnakeMake or WDL or workflow description language. This tool is very suitable for you who are not experts in cloud infra. So we can focus more on building our pipeline rather than setting up the infra to run our pipeline. But the drawback is this tool cannot run without the CLI. So for example, we cannot use PI to automatically trigger this tool. Another alternative to run our pipeline is using AWS Healthomics. So this is a new service from AWS that easily that can help us to easily monitor and manage our bioinformatics pipeline. There are three components of AWS Healthomics. The first one is Healthomics storage. This one is for storing reference genomes, FASTA, and also for storing genomic files. It supports FASTQ files, BAM files, CRUD, and UBEL. Another component of Healthomics is Healthomics workflow. This service or component is to run our bioinformatics pipeline. Yeah, this is similar to Genomics CLI. Another component is Healthomics Analytics. So based on the output from Healthomics workflow, for example, the output is VCF or GVCF, we can do something with this VCF. For example, for analytics or just to query the data, we can use AWS Athena for the query. And the last one, the executor option from AWS is AWS Bench. So actually, AWS Bench is a general service not intended for a bioinformatics pipeline only, but we can use this tool to run our pipeline. AWS, which we will orchestrate the server, cloud infra, finding the server, etc. We just need to focus on the bioinformatics pipeline. that previously described with Nextflow, for example. And AWS Batch offers on-demand and on-spot EC2 instance. So there are two types, at least in EC2 instance or AWS server. With on-spot, this is cheaper server. So that it means that if we run our bioinformatics pipeline with AWS Batch, we can get a cheaper lower cost for running our analysis. And we can also reuse existing network configuration if we already have one. There are four components of AWS Batch. The first one is compute environment. This is the server or template of server where we can run our bioinformatics pipeline. We specify the resource requirement of our bioinformatics pipeline. For example, the CPU, the memory, and other options. Another component is job definition. So this is a template that specifies how our bioinformatics pipeline or how our job will run. For example, the job will execute some command or some program. Another component is job queue. This component handles the scheduling. For example, if we have several projects and we run all the analysis from all of this project, and we know that there is one project that is more priority than another project. So this job queue will prioritize which analysis or which job will go first before another one. So this is useful if we have a lot of type of workflow that with different priority. And the last one job is, this is the actual job. It's equal to process in the Nextflow. So for each process, it will create a job in AWS Batch. All right, that's about the workflow orchestrator and execution. I'll give some example of case study in Nala, Nala risk prediction. We have a product called MammoReady. This one is Nala risk prediction for breast cancer. We use microarray for the genotyping machine. So the input files is IDET. And we use Nextflow as a workflow orchestrator, and it runs on the top of AWS Batch. The final output from this bioinformatics pipeline is there are three values or three risk: monogenic risk, BRCA1 or 2, polygenic risk, and clinical risk of a patient. So based on our study, the result from this output is like 4 to 9 times more effective at identifying breast cancer case compared to the traditional one with only BRCA1 or 2 testing. Alright, this is an example of MammoReady bioinformatics pipeline. We start with the consultation between the patient and the physician. During consultation, we take a buccal swab, and also we give some survey to the patient. They need to fill it. This survey will become a clinical risk score. And from the buccal swab, we extract the DNA using microarray, and we produce the IDET files. From the IDET files, we process further into the IDET, the GTC, and VCF, very calling. And from the VCF, we process further with imputation to produce PRS, polygenic risk score, to get the polygenic risk. And also we use VCF for to detect the pathogenic variants that will become the monogenic risk. We combine the three results for clinical risk, and also from monogenic RIS and polygenic RIS into the combined RIS. Well, the patient will get average result of combined RIS if the values from three parameters, polygenic RIS, monogenic RIS, and clinical RIS is all average. If one of this value is elevated, the combined RIS will be elevated. So we run the bioinformatics pipeline on AWS Batch. So this is the architecture of the infra. We trigger analysis from clinical decision support, where the lab staff will upload the sample using our CDS. It will be stored in AWS S3, and they can also trigger the analysis from this platform. And when they trigger the analysis from this platform, it will create a job in AWS Batch. So this job will first preparing the next flow, and then it will execute the next flow. Usually with the next flow command, next flow main script .nf, for example, and we supply the parameters such as the input is the reference genome or the input is IDET file. Next flow will create other jobs because we build our workflow from smaller processes. These processes will create another job in AWS Batch. And we use OnSpot. So OnSpot is a cheaper one type of AWS server or EC2. And for each job, we can, it will run the analysis based on the next flow. So we focus more on the next flow, and then we set up the hot infra with AWS Batch. The output will be stored in S3. We can set which files or output that will be stored in S3, but this is, for example, we store the VCF or BAM files or CRUM files or other files. And S3 will store also the cache so that we can resume our bioinformatics pipeline. For example, there is when we run the pipeline, it fails in one process or in one step. We don't want to rerun our analysis from the beginning, right? Because it will take some cost for preparing the infra. We want to run it starting from the process it failed. So with the caching strategy from Nextflow, we can run and we can enable it. Okay, this is an example of Nextflow config. We specify the profile name. What is the executor? We use AWS Batch. We run in SOTIS 1. This is SG region of AWS. And we specify the job queue and also error strategy. The error strategy is terminate. It means that whenever there's one process fail, it will stop the entire pipeline. There are other options for the error strategy. For example, with ignore, it will ignore the failed process and will continue the process into the end of workflow. But for this one, it's terminate. And for each process, we need to specify the requirement to run our process. For example, there is one process called IDET2VCF that requires 1 CPU and 7.2 gigabytes of memory. And there's another one, VCF annotate, that requires 1 CPU and 2 gigabytes memory. This is very dynamic based on the needs of our process. And later, AWS Batch will configure server that can run with this requirement. So we don't want our server to be, for example, 64 gigabytes of memory, whereas we only need 7.2 gigabytes or will be over capacity. But AWS Batch will adjust the type of server based on our requirement. All right. So I will share some challenges that we encounter in Nala and how to resolve that. The first challenge is there is no easy way to track costs per analysis. So for business purpose, for example, we need to estimate the cost of goods sales, COGS. In order to do that, we need to estimate the cost per analysis, right? So with AWS Batch, there is no easy way to do that. Actually, AWS provides some mechanism to estimate our spending using resource take. So resource take works. We have a lot of resources. For example, server to run our analysis, and then storage to store our files. We can add take to that services. For example, I have a server and S3 bucket here to store everything for product memo ready. I can give a tag to these resources so that at the end of the month on the billing report I can get the estimate and also the report, the number of costs that I need to pay for this product. And we can also more further add some tag per sample or per analysis. And at the end of the month, we can get this number per analysis or per sample. This is very useful to estimate the cost. But the problem with AWS Batch is there are two here. The first one is the compute environment is reused for analysis. So compute environment is a template. This is only a template of server. Because this is only a template, we use this for many analysis or many samples. So we cannot add tag to this compute environment. Another problem is this: if we add tag to compute environment, it will not add tag to the EC2 instance or EBS volume. EC2 instance is the server, and EBS volume is the storage. What we want to compute or estimate the price is the EC2 and EBS volume. So there's a workaround. First, we can use resource labels. There's one feature in Nextflow called resource label. The syntax is something like this. Resource labels, and this is the tag, similar to resource tag from AWS. We define the product, memo ready, and sample. For example, this is ABC123. This tag, product, memo ready, and sample will be available in every AWS Batch job. But this is only for the job, not on the server or storage. We need to do something further to make it available to EC2 and EBS. What we do is something like this. Someone will trigger the analysis and it will create a job in AWS Batch, and then AWS Batch will inform another service called Event Bridge to notify that, oh, there is one analysis from the lab staff. The analysis is product, is memo ready, the sample is blah blah blah, and then it use server EC2 with this ID and also EBS or storage of this ID. So it will forward the message, the event to Lambda, and Lambda will modify or add the tag to the resource. So Lambda's purpose is to add this tag, product and sample tag, to this resource, EC2 and EBS. So the tag is available in EC2 and EBS, and at the end of the month, we can get estimate of the cost for running this product and analysis or sample. Okay, challenge 2 is, as we know that bioinformatics files is very big and it's very costly to store it in the cloud. So we need to be careful and we need to monitor it. So imagine that there are a lot of options of genotyping machine from PCR. This will also affect the accuracy. PCR is the cheapest one. The file type is CSV. Yeah, roughly the average file size is around 500 kilobytes. And it will, if we calculate the cost to store it in cloud, this is the price, very low. But when it comes to more accurate generative packet machine for microarray, for example, IDET files around 20 megabytes, and the pricing will be higher than PCR. And then whole genome sequencing with depth 5x or short read, the file type is FASTQ. It's around 20 gigabytes for the pair of FASTQ, and it costs us a half USD per month. And if we are talking about along with GS for the 30x depth with port 5 from ONT, and the file size is 700 gigabytes, it will cost us 17.5 USD. Imagine that this is only one file, one sample from one patient. If we have a lot of patients, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000 patients, we can estimate the cost to store. This is only to store the files. So that's why we need to have strategies how to store it efficiently, cost efficiently. So there are a lot of options or strategies. First is we can archive the files whenever we are done with the analysis of the sample. We can move the file into what we call a Glacier Deep Archive. This is one of storage class of S3. This is the cheapest one. So in S3 there are a lot of options to store a file. Glacier Deep Archive is very cheapest, the cheapest one to store. Another alternative is to use another storage class with Glacier Instant Retrieval, and we can automatically change the storage class or archive whenever we are done with the analysis. We develop a script to do it automatically. And we need to regularly clean up Nextflow temporary files. So these temporary files is used for caching or resume purpose, so that we can start the analysis from the point of failure of our process. So for the conclusion, first, bioinformatics pipeline can be easily orchestrated using some tools with Nextflow, with SnakeMake, and other tools. And AWS offers many ways to run our bioinformatics pipeline with AGC, Genomic CLI, with Health Omics, and with AWS Bench. In our case, with MamoReady, using Nextflow and AWS Bench, showed that it with Nextflow and AWS Bench can run bioinformatics pipeline in scalable way and cost efficient. And one important thing is that to run analysis in production, we need to take care of the cost. We need to monitor the cost due to the compute and storage needs. Yeah, that's all the presentation for me.